It's Absolutely Auburn, a place where we will talk about all things Auburn, Maine, because we're in the middle of it all. The City of Auburn's communication team is dedicated to helping you connect with city government and learn everything you need to know about Auburn, our city, our people, our events, our community. My name is Phil Crowell. I'm the city manager in Auburn, and welcome to Absolutely Auburn.
Coming up in this episode of Absolutely Auburn, we have Phil Crowell, the city manager, and Brian Wood, the assistant city manager, joining us. And who is us? Us is me, Jenn Boenig, the downtown coordinator and part of the Auburn communications team. And also joining me is...
I'm Abby Bourne, the communications assistant here at the city and producing this new podcast, Absolutely Auburn.
And what you're going to hear in this episode with our city manager and assistant city manager, why we're doing a podcast, what do they do on a daily basis, and how could you get involved in city government? So thanks for tuning in. Hey everyone, Jenn Boenig here. Welcome to It's Absolutely Auburn. And today we have joining us on our first ever official City of Auburn, Maine podcast, Phil Crowell, the city manager, and Brian Wood, the assistant city manager. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks for having us.
So let's jump right in. Why are we doing a podcast? Why now?
I think when you say why now, I say why not Auburn. So when we take a look at podcasts that are happening all around the country, we're hearing them. Everyone is engaged and listening. Why not Auburn? Why not do this? And why not make another tool for us to be able to reach out to our community?
Absolutely. And this is a fantastic way for residents to get a chance to meet some of those members of staff that they may not have the opportunity to meet on a day-to-day basis and hear about some of the programming that's going on in the city.
Yeah, and you know what I found out when I did a little research on podcasts? About 50% of people, all ages, doesn't matter who you are, where you are, listen to podcasts. That's how they get information. That's how they get news about things. So I think it's a great way for us to share all that's happening here in Auburn because there's a lot going on. We know that because we're here, but I think sometimes people forget that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that when we take a look at people's time, right, it's so important and valuable to them that if we can carve out an opportunity to work within their schedule to be able to dial in, see what's taking place in Auburn, then this is a great outreach.
So speaking of time, city manager, assistant city manager, what is a typical day in the life? What does that look like if you had to tell someone not in these halls? Because we know what you do, but what would you tell people?
I would start, Brian, I guess. I would just say that every day is different. And as much as we may lay out a great plan for the day, it doesn't always happen. And that's like that in most professions, right? But in City Hall, and when you take a look at the size of our city and everything that's taking place, every day there's a few fires that we have to put out. But fortunately for us and the city management team, we have great directors that are out there getting things done, coming up with solutions to problems that they're facing every single day. And then we have a great team. We have over 240 employees within the city of Auburn. So be able to have a team like that can work through the challenges that take place. We're really grateful as a city management team to have our staff.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. Phil's absolutely right. There's no 2 days that are the same, but I think that's probably what attracts us to this job. But I mean, anything from looking at various contracts to potholes to going out to Lake Grove to figure out ways to continue to improve upon that space, to figuring out how we support our staff through HR matters. All of those things run across our desks, and we love it. So,
and I would say, I guess what we're looking for is really what's the official work of us every day. Right?
That kind of leads into my next question. Like, what is your role in city government, I guess?
Yeah. So our main function is to carry out the policy decisions of the city council. That's what we do, from everything when council sets the priorities of the budget to council sets ordinances, orders. Our job is to take that and now within our team, within our finances, execute. And so that's our role.
100%. And I would say, from my perspective, Phil has the job of really being the kind of strategic leader to gather all of those directives and the vision of council and policy setting and figure out what buckets and timelines and budget pieces are going to fit in what place and put that puzzle together. And I have the opportunity of kind of helping take certain things off of this plate at times, but then also being that sounding board for the fantastic team that he spoke about as well, and helping us figure out some of the more detailed elements of executing council's vision and making sure that we're kind of on task and on target for serving residents, and then always putting out some of those fires that pop up. But I'd say that's what it looks like from my vantage point.
There's always fires, right? I mean, I think that's going to happen anywhere. Now, do most cities in Maine have a city manager? Is that kind of unique to Auburn? I know in Maine you can have different government structures kind of depending on the size of your town or city.
You know, one thing about Auburn is we're the first. We're the first for many things. We were actually the first in the state of Maine to form a manager council form of government.
Really?
And so since then, the majority of our communities in the state of Maine have that structure. There are very few that don't. And so whether it's a town manager or a city administrator or a city manager, most have that function. There are a few that have different variations, but I would say across the board of over 400 plus local governments in the state of Maine, the majority have.
So they might have a different name, but in essence, their role would still be the same.
That's correct.
I didn't know that. I got to learn something new. That's what this is all about. So what are some of your favorite things about Auburn? Phil, I know you've been here longer than Brian, for example.
Just a couple
and
of years.
I'm local too. Sorry, Brian. But when you think of Auburn, what are some of those favorite things that kind of come to mind initially?
Sure. Yeah, I've lived in Auburn, I think all but 3 years of my life. So I've been here a long time, and I've actually been employed with the city of Auburn for this year will be 30 years. So,
oh, wow.
So I might have been in these halls for a little while. And so, and I just love the city. You know, growing up here, I've always enjoyed just the fact that Auburn has so many unique opportunities. And we're 67 square miles. We're the 9th largest city east of the Mississippi. And so for square miles. And so that says a lot about what we have to offer here. And when you take a look at our natural resources, you take a look at our downtown, take a look at our parks, there are so many things that you can do here in Auburn. Brian just mentioned Lake Grove. We actually went up to Lake Grove this morning to walk it with the crew because so many things are happening there. We have a brand new playground that's being built. We now have a dock in the municipal beach area, and so we have canoes, kayaks, paddle boats. There's a lot taking place up at Lake Grove. Those are things I like about Auburn. I love our events in Auburn, and I think that the team has done an outstanding job over the last few years of creating an opportunity for not just our residents, but our broader neighbors in the region to come and gather and have a great time. And the thing about Auburn, and so as former police chief, I have to plug this, Auburn is safe. You know, it's a safe community. So that's one of the number one things I like about Auburn. I have kids in this community. They're adults now, I guess I should say. But I love the fact that when they're going into the Auburn, I know that they're safe.
Yeah, and that's why. So I, as I mentioned, grew up in the area. I did leave for a while, about 10 years. A little longer than you, Phil, I guess.
We won't hold that against you.
Thanks. But I moved back home to raise my family. And my kids are basically grown now. So, yeah, it is safe. That's part of the reason why I wanted to come back here and raise my family here. Plus, my parents are here. And Lord knows you need a support system when you have children. So that was a big reason why I came back too. But what have you found, Brian, as kind of more of a newcomer to the area, I should say?
Yeah, 3 years this month. And it's beautiful. And piggybacking off of something Phil said, the events, the vibrant nature of the city, the diversity of the city is something that is beautiful and engaging. And in fact, we actually received an email, I want to say it was earlier this week, from a resident who was a lifelong resident, and commented that, when they grew up, there were all of these events that took place in Auburn, and it kind of waned over the years. But the last, 5 to 6 years, Auburn's really been, kind of back in the game when it comes to events like New Year's Eve or Lobster Fest or any number of movie nights. And so they were really excited to see that, to be a part of that for their kids, I think, and grandkids to be able to have those opportunities. So that's what's exciting to me. And I think for me, there's very few places that I've been where you can explore and enjoy the beauty of such a great lake, and then turn around and right behind it go shopping. And so that diversity is something that is extremely unique. And then you talk about the residents, they're just amazing. I mean, like I said, I've been here 3 years, and it's probably one of the nicest, most hospitable places I've lived. And that's saying a lot from a Midwest boy like myself. So.
I was going to say, isn't Midwesterners are nice? I lived out in Indiana for a period of time. I know.
Indeed. And by golly, just as
but we're nice here too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wanted to interject here as someone who, I grew up in Maine, but I was really unfamiliar with the Auburn area. I'm from the coastal part of Maine. And when I've started working at the city about 8 or 9 months ago now at this point, but just Auburn is, like what you said, Phil, the size of the city really surprised me, because growing up, you don't think of Auburn as like a large place from other parts of Maine, but it really is. And like you said, it's kind of like a gateway to multiple opportunities, like outdoor opportunities like Mount Appetite, or shopping opportunities at the Auburn Mall. There really are, whatever you need to do, you can get done here, which is nice.
Yeah.
You can do it here.
That's right.
I like to say, you mentioned, I think you both mentioned the events. I'm the downtown coordinator, officially speaking, but I like to say I'm the coordinator of fun, because I get to do the events. And thanks to an amazing rec department, as well as a public works department, I couldn't be the coordinator of fun without all those folks helping me and bringing these events to life, because it takes a little work. It's a little like wrangling cats sometimes, but it's fun and people enjoy it. And the Lobster Festival that started off as a joke became this great event, and we're already planning next year. So.
And buoys galore.
Yeah, buoys. Yeah, we have one actually here in the studio. No one else can see it, but we do have one here in the studio. So we have fun things, but obviously sometimes there are some challenging things too that we face here in the city. So what are some of those challenges that you're seeing in your role?
Yeah, I think you're right. We do have challenges. And sometimes the things that are the opportunities that we just talked about are also our challenges. When you take a look at our size, just our sheer size, that is a challenge for our community. Some communities could invest, a few $1 million in some road repairs, and you would drive through that community and think every road is just taken well care of and pristine. We could take and triple that value, but yet we're only hitting a very small percentage of roads. So it takes a lot to keep the city of Auburn functioning in an important way that's logistic, that we have good access to our roads, they're safe. So it takes a lot of investment for that as well. So that's a challenge. And so we have those local challenges, but we also have, Auburn's not immune from some of the national challenges. We take a look at homelessness. We take a look at opioids. We take a look at mental health issues. Those are real things that Auburn's challenged with. And we have a great team within our community development group that's looking at how can we bring resources to those who are what I consider most vulnerable? And how are we making sure that we're providing safe opportunities for them as well?
Absolutely. I think Phil hit the nail on the head. And I think one of the things we're always striving to do is make sure that we have the right resources invested in the right places, that we're right size for our city. And I think, as mentioned, our size, both geographically, but then taking into account a population and making sure that we're able to provide services in a manner that our residents expect is critical. And so that does take a lot of planning and a lot of strategic thought by our directors, who are subject matter experts, and by all 240 plus members of our team here. I would say the other challenge is the diversity, right? We have active farms, and we have a wide swath of multiplexes in our downtown. We have a river, and we have a joint airport. I mean, all of these resources are absolutely amazing, but how do you maximize them, and how do you make sure that everybody feels seen and heard and a part of that community? And so we're always striving to find that balance.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of things here. So yeah, it's it's definitely a challenge. I do not envy your work. Like I said, I get to be the coordinator of fun. So if you had to pick one word to describe Auburn, what would that be? Or maybe I'll give you like up to 3 words, like a short phrase.
Brian, I'll let you go first.
Right. I think I kind of alluded to it. I would say eclectic. I think we are so many things, which makes us an amazing city, that we do have those natural resources, that we do have amazing programming and physical assets. I mean, one of the only 2-sheet ice arenas. You think about our new PAL Center that's going to be going in, and the investments in the Gully and our rec programming. Think about the ability to leverage Lake Auburn. I mean, those are all amazing things, but then you turn around and we have a huge manufacturing sector, which is great. And we have our own auto mile. So all of those things, I think, are what make Auburn eclectic, but it's also what makes us so special.
Wow. That's a great response, Brian.
Yeah, hard to follow that one.
I know.
It is.
Are you regretting your choice now?
I don't know why I let him go first on this one. No, I think everything that Brian said is exactly what Auburn is. And, I would add too that we're less than 40 days out from opening the best high school in the state of Maine.
Yes.
Right. What an
high school.
What an exciting thing for Auburn, right? As an Auburn EL grad, how great is it that we are about to unveil this new high school? And, I had an opportunity to walk through it recently, and, I was really grateful that they said, "Hey, do you want to come and take a walk through?" And I just had quite a few just jaw-dropping moments as I walked through that new high school, because it's amazing and the community is going to love it. So my one word is community. I think that's the word for Auburn. I believe that when we take a look at Auburn, it is just many different communities.
Yeah, and opportunity. I know that's kind of a word we've all thrown out here in the course of conversation too. Opportunity. There's so many eclectic things and opportunities to do different things, and with the community and the way we kind of all come together, I think that all helps. And I cannot wait to see the new EL, and especially that performing arts space. As the coordinator of fun, I'm very interested in that.
You might have some ideas.
We can go from there.
I might have an idea or two, but I'm sure there'll be a long list of people who are excited about that as well.
Well, yeah, and I think, the school is a good point. Like Auburn has always been, I think, but becomes even more of a place for families to find new opportunities. There's new education opportunities with the new EL, and then Central Maine Community College has a lot of really amazing opportunities right here in Auburn too. So when I think about, my future as someone who doesn't have kids yet, but maybe in the future, like landing in a community like Auburn where there is really support and connection from the city government and from your neighbors, I think that's a special thing about this place to me.
Great point. I'm glad you brought up the community college too. I mean, there was 2 great articles in the paper today.
Yeah, I saw those about they're continuing the free college program.
That's right.
Yeah.
In Central Maine Community College, if you take a look at their enrollment, I mean, it's just
it's exploded,
incredible, right?
Yes.
So their enrollment is high. Then you take a look at our high school, and the fact that their graduation rates now are over 90%.
Yeah.
What a great achievement for our our entire school department. And the work that they've done, the school committee and the work that they've done, and the city council on really saying, how can we bridge that gap between the community college and the high school? And I think they've done a great job.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited about the free community college because my son will graduate in 2025. So
Congratulations.
my daughter graduated in 2021, and I knew she wasn't interested in the opportunity, even though she had the opportunity. But I think my son will take advantage. So I'm very excited. I texted him immediately when I saw the news come out and said, guess what?
Yeah, well, and I saw too that like so many of those programs, especially at the MCC, are like trade programs that directly affect the workforce here in Auburn and beyond. But I think that is something that we're so lucky to have in this city, and I think really adds to the community here. Yeah.
I am shocked how many times I talk to someone in the community that's they've never driven onto the campus at the community college.
It's so nice.
Wow.
Just take that time and drive up to the campus
Absolutely.
and see what a jewel it is right here in our city. And, for us, Brian and I talk about this with our team, with our communications team, quite frequently about how do we make sure that we highlight those. We've been talking about for the high school, when you're coming into the area of the high school, even just putting banners on the street poles, that home of Red Eddies, right? And just make that really known for people that, there's
coming into.
Yeah, there's just this passion within this community that they recognize the high school and they're supportive of it. And then the same thing, that we're also the home of the Mustangs. How do we highlight that and make sure that people recognize that we support our community college, they're part of our community, and they really are great partners.
Absolutely.
We definitely have that pride, and so making sure that everybody knows it's going to be critical.
So now, Phil, you mentioned we have 240 some odd employees here. If someone wanted to get involved in city government, whether it's coming to work with us or running for office or whatever, how would someone go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great point. We have interns within the city of Auburn, and that's a great, if you're at that stage of your just entering into the workforce and you want to see what city government looks like, I think being an intern is a great step into that. We have some folks that are doing some work with our public works and rec right now that we're calling them park rangers. And they are doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
And part of it is just, we've been talking about this. Auburn is so large. We have so many assets. We need to collect that. So the team has been working at doing that. But and this team has been doing that. And many of them, those are some paid volunteers, I guess you could say. But so that's been great. But I think, how do you get involved in having a good understanding of city government and get engaged? I think that, one, if you're looking for employment, we're recruiting constantly. We need good people. And we're not looking for necessarily somebody that's coming with full knowledge of a job that they might be applying for. We want people that we could train up, right? We have workforce is tough right now. Finding employees is difficult. And so we just want good people. And if we can bring good people in, we'll provide the training and we'll get you trained up to be able to plug in to whatever department we have. And then we have opportunities once you come into the city, then now you can advance, right? There's different jobs that you could look at. Being a radio producer,
new thing to add.
Surprise,
to the resume.
Abby.
Sometimes we just keep adding things to people's job description, and so Brian and I are really good at that.
Yeah, be wary of that. Other duties as a sign line.
Don't I know it?
But allows for room to grow. I think for me, I can talk about my own experience here. I never introduced myself. I'm Abby, the communications assistant here, producer of this podcast. But I started here, like I said, about 8 months ago now, and already in my time being here, I had some experience coming in, but I've learned so much being here from Liz, my boss, and from Jen, and from everyone here at the city, really. It's been a great place to sort of grow my skills and figure out what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think we also have like 30 boards and committees. And so if you are looking for a way to get involved in the city, please look to come and join one of our boards and committees. They do such great work. They do a lot of the heavy lifting. They dig into certain issues. I'm meeting with we call it the SNRB, but it's the Sustainability Natural Resource Protection Board. We're meeting with them tonight. It's one of their quarterly meetings. They have like 4 work groups that are just doing great things within the city. We'll be leaning into them as we look to put together some proposals for solid waste and recycling. That's a hot topic right now, right? We're probably going to need a podcast just on that. So
I'll add it to the list.
Okay. And so, but getting people who are passionate about certain things, getting them engaged and be part of those committees, boards, coming to city council meetings, those are all great things because we need to hear your voice. And so any way that we can get the public engaged is going to be critical. Listening to this podcast now and saying, how can I get involved? What does that look like for me? Reach out to us.
Yes, absolutely. And people can find, I think, most of this information, if not all of it, on our website, auburnmaine.gov. It's a great resource. You'll see the different boards, committees. I'm sure that there's an interest form you can fill out on the website. Someone will reach out to you. And you can always stop by City Hall too. We're here 8:30 to 4, Monday through Friday, right on 60 Court Street. If you've never been here, you can't miss us, I don't think. I don't feel like you can. There's free parking in the garage. Not everyone knows that. Not sure why. I always, honestly, when I would drive by and see the garage, I just assumed it was for City Hall. I didn't think anyone could park in here. But you can.
That's right. Open
it's
to
free.
the public.
Right. And it's free. And I didn't know that.
No. Now they do.
And we even have public charging stations in the garage.
Yes, that's right.
Also
on what?
free.
A couple different levels, I think,
free.
right? Yeah.
On the first level for the public.
Yes.
First level has the public
Okay.
access.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah,
And
I mean,
more of those to come.
Right. Yes. Yeah, they're popping up now in
They are.
various places.
They are.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We're wrapping up, running low on time. And a lot of the things that you guys mentioned earlier are going to be in some of our upcoming podcast episodes. You mentioned Lake Grove Park. We're going to focus on all of the great things that we have going on there in an upcoming episode. National Night Out, building community, and building those relationships with our police department and the community and our neighborhoods. It's important for everyone to kind of watch out and look out for each other. So we have National Night Out that's coming up. We have elections that'll be coming up in November. And how do you register to vote? And what does that look like? We're going to dive into all of those things and more in some of our upcoming episodes. So thanks for helping us launch Absolutely Auburn. We appreciate it. And thanks, Abby, for being our producer. And as Abby mentioned a little bit ago, Abby Boron, she's our communications assistant / podcast producer. Something she wasn't expecting until maybe earlier this week.
Well, it comes with the territory, city government. It's always changing, fast paced, but it's been great. And I'm really excited to continue the journey. Thank you both, Bill and Brian. It's been awesome chatting with you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. And we look forward to hearing the future podcasts.
That's right. Thank you, guys. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that this idea originated with you guys and our communications team. So
Well, Jen gets the credit, and I'm excited to be along for the ride.
I just like to talk. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on Absolutely Auburn. You can find all things Auburn, Maine at auburnmaine.gov and goauburn.me. You can also listen to us anytime, anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, just to name a few. The City of Auburn's communications team wants to remind you, Absolutely Auburn is the only official podcast for the City of Auburn, Maine.